Assalamu alaikum ji, welcome back to another episode of Kahe, Kazi. My guest today was Nazar Syed. Nazar Syed is a writer. He's also the co-host of Vaguely Familiar, which is a podcast based in diaspora. We get to speaking about what it is to be at home, to write, to home in diaspora, to understand the heritage, the stories of cities such as Toronto and Karachi. We also get to speaking about moving away from family, from friends, from what it is to have a truly unconditional relationship and to lose oneself in the process. Enjoy. 3, 2, 1. Nazar Syed. Syed. Nazar Syed.
That's accurate. You're right.
Dude, I got it, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Kazi.
Dude, thanks for coming. So we were talking about the fact that so Nazar, you're visiting from Canada. You're a writer. We'll get into all that, inshallah. You were living with me for 6 days.
Yeah.
हमने तब नहीं podcast record किया, and at the time of recording this, you're leaving tonight.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Inshallah.
Yeah,
Inshallah.
inshallah.
Allah रहम करे. This will probably come out after, तो नजर लगने के chances कम है.
Inshallah. Oh my God.
Yes.
I want a pun.
A pun counter?
Yeah, on the bottom. Every time you make another joke,
Yeah,
it has to go up.
देखो यार मेरी नजर में ये सब बातें हैं. You just don't listen. Don't irk me. No, I'll just keep doing it. This is what happens.
You're just making Wahab work overtime.
Dude, I'm not. He's just gonna. This is good for him.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's like, yaar, short clip kahan se banao? Most of the conversations are just serious because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Also repping the Toronto Raptors. You were supposed to as well.
Yeah.
Lekin last minute pe aapne jo hai na script change kar di.
No, I really made my hair for this podcast. So I was like, I
bro,
represent the Raptors, but I will not be wearing the hat.
Bro, you also dressed all nice, but
Yeah.
and
I bought this new sweater too for this podcast from
Why?
Cambridge.
I bought these Outfitters pants because it's cold.
For sure.
And I bought them oversized. I'm over here looking like a matlab, I don't know.
Kazi, that's the vibe that you like exude.
Yeah,
right?
the vibe is.
Everything else, if you were in a prim proper 3-piece suit right now, I'd be very concerned.
Yeah,
Right.
not 3-piece suits, but I want to wear clothes that fit me.
Yeah.
Because नहीं तो मुझे जो है बाकायदा threat मिले हुए हैं कि आपको घर से निकाल दिया
I
जाएगा.
also stole your T-shirt.
He did steal my shirt.
Yeah,
Stole my shirt.
it's great, and I sleep in it every day.
Oh wow. Okay, all right. You were telling me about the Red Bull thing. Tell me.
Yeah. So, Kazi, you asked me if I wanted anything. I would have a water bottle here, and I already downed this thing. But I was like, nahi, mujhe ek Red Bull chahiye. And that was because the first podcast I ever saw of yours, I'm pretty sure it was the Irfan Juneja one, the first Irfan Juneja one, and you cracked a Red Bull in that. And I was like, if I ever in my life have the opportunity to sit down with Kaziba and I'm at his studio and I'm having a conversation with him on the podcast, I am going to crack a Red Bull.
Oh,
and
you're gonna do it now?
My mom hates that I drink this, but mom, I'm sorry, but this is...
Auntie माजरत चाहता हूँ मैंने देखी मेरी ये बिल्कुल भी I'm sorry.
It's for the culture, ma.
It's for the
It's for the culture. Ah, there we go.
Okay.
There we go. Cheers.
All right. What's it called? So, dude, it's been interesting, right? You and I met on Clubhouse. Even before. Like, did I do the podcast before the Clubhouse?
You did the podcast before. So what happened is you had Irfan Bhai on, and then me and my brother just went ham on all your podcasts, right? We were like, this guy is amazing. Hamza Bhai wala podcast was great. Irfan Bhai wala podcast was great. Dr. Saab wala podcast was good. I was like, this is it. This is a really good podcast. And me and my brother were like, and then you were on TPR, and I was like, we have to get him on as well. Yeah. And then we got you on, and then uske baad, we just, during the podcast, we realized we have so many like Venn diagrams that overlap. Toronto mein aap, UFT mein aap padhe ho. My brother was from UFT. You were living in Toronto. You're an expat. Like, all of these things that were just like binding us. And then Clubhouse happened, and I was like, Kazi, aa jao.
And you know, that's it, right? So Clubhouse became a thing, but you actually literally forced me to.
Yeah.
मैंने जो है मैं ये Clubhouse में क्या, because the thing is, dude, social media overwhelms me.
Yeah.
Right?
Same.
So YouTube app, Facebook app, Instagram app, these are the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Then you have Snapchat. Now you have, what's it called? WhatsApp is...
Did you say Twitter?
Huh? I didn't say Twitter. So Twitter is again, and WhatsApp is big.
Yeah.
And so, you know, generally, मैं जो होता हूँ, मेरी बस हुई होती है.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, oh, there's this new social media. And I'm like, यार नजर ना करने देना. क्या मतलब है?
Yeah, I was like, Kazima, I think you should, because you're a podcaster, and it was you and Ali Bhai that I was like, In dono ko, because it was invite based only.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was also iOS based.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, itna zor se filter lagaya hua tha maine. And I was like, Kazi, do you have an iPhone? You were like, beta kya kharidna hai mujhse? Kyun pooch rahe ho? And then I was like, no, you have to be on this thing. We should come on this.
Yeah.
And then it became a thing, man.
Dude, alhamdulillah. And the thing is, I'm so glad that it did, Allah ka karam, because I met so many people. So I obviously got to talking to you and Bashar, which is in itself great.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, but wo hamari वैसे ही बात हो जानी थी.
Yeah.
Lekin all these other kids, I will call them kids because they're so much younger than me.
Yeah.
There was no reason for them to talk to me otherwise, right? And no other reason because I couldn't invite them onto the podcast. They're not in Karachi.
Yeah.
Shahzad ho gaya, Balaj ho gaya, Bilal ho gaya, Saltafa, and then Anika, and then... I mean, you and Ali Bhai also I became closer to. Sara ho gayi, all these people. Ali Shamim, Ubaid. You know, I'm gonna keep naming them.
There's so many.
There's so many because I just, and again, this speaks to my privilege or Allah ka karam hai. I just take that for granted. I'm like, ye to apne dost hai na ye.
Yeah.
I don't remember that I met all of them through Clubhouse, and they were all just voices.
You're for sure. You're 100% right. But for me, what it was more important was that at that time where Clubhouse started to boom and we started to talk, I was craving a creative community around me. Yaar. Like all my friends, I call them my civilian friends. They're not creatively inclined. So like if I wanted to bounce ideas off of someone, if I wanted to discuss a new story idea, short story idea, or whatever, they would be as supportive as they could be.
Sure.
But they don't really know that world us tarike se. And when I started talking to you guys and Irfan Bhai and all these people, Irfan Bhai as a product of the YouTube, who's someone who's made it. Like this is a person who's made it.
Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. Yeah. Seeing him navigate his life, seeing you navigate your life, you were on your way. Now I would say you've also made it.
Allah Rahim karega.
That's a whole other conversation.
No.
Humble. Kazi was humble.
No, dude. I'm realistic.
Looking at all that, like Balaj and these creative process, dekhe, Saltafa, someone who I don't even know how he looks like, by the way. No one does, right?
But I said that to Saltafa. I was like, finish your thought and I'll tell you. But I said that to Saltafa. I was like, you know what? I don't want to find out anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to come on the podcast as Saltafa.
Yeah.
I don't want to know your name. I don't want to know how you look. I just don't want it.
That would be so amazing.
It would be so cool.
That'd be really cool.
Inshallah. Yeah.
But I was in a spot where I was like, I need a community around me that will help me flow these creative juices. Or yehi hua yaar. Started talking to you guys, started improving the podcast little by little. Constructive criticism all around. Mashallah say, no like unsolicited advice. But tum ye kyun nahi karte? Tum wo kyun nahi karte? It was all coming from a good place, coming from a place of genuine concern. This is how you grow.
But usme na, I think daromadar is baat ka bhi hai कि आप you must understand that a lot of that is predicated upon how receptive you and Bashar are.
Yeah.
Because unsolicited foreign se ho jata if you guys were like, at all defensive.
Yeah.
But you've been open to Ali Bhai and you've been open to Irfan Bhai. And I think generally these people are people you should be open to. Because,
100%.
I mean, think about just between the two of them, think about how much they read.
Yeah.
I read nothing, right?
Yeah.
They read everything. Like Ali Bhai bata rahe the कि he reads more or less 15 websites a day.
Yeah.
And these are websites. So he's not even keeping track of how many articles he's reading.
Yeah.
They're just jo bhi us pe website pe aa raha hai, he's just consuming it. And so they're well read, well researched. Irfan Bhai has obviously put in more work on social media stuff than Ali Bhai, but they're both also very technically savvy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good people to listen to, man.
When I became close with Irfan Bhai, it felt the same way when I met like a real writer for the first time.
Okay.
The author of Life of Pi. When I met him for the first time in flesh, he was sitting in front of me, and I was like, "Wait, you wrote this?"
Yeah.
Like ye asmaan se nahi utri hai, it just didn't appear.
Yeah.
People actually write this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing when I met Irfan Bhai. I was like, wait, you're the guy that actually you actually make these videos. Like this is something that just does not appear on YouTube.
Yeah.
You put in the effort, hours of the day, and then phir ye aap upload karte ho, and then I see it.
And so I think it's beautiful too that now you get to finally having that appreciation, but now you get to watch him do it.
Yeah.
And
not even him. I'm gonna put you in that same boat. You and Irfan Bhai, I have like studied and learned from so much just by being around you guys this entire trip. if I ever get any success ever in the future, I will have to
नहीं तो
credit you a lot.
अल्लाह आपको कामयाब तो करेगा, ये फजूल बात करने की जरूरत नहीं थी.
No. फजूल बात नहीं है, Kazi bhai. My whole point of coming on your podcast is to tell you how amazing you
Bro,
are.
we're gonna stop this podcast now. This is the first podcast that gets stopped like fucking 15 minutes in. Like we're done. We're done.
No. I will space my compliments in a way कि आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा.
Bro, कैसे नहीं पता पड़ेगा मुझे? I have a sensor for this shit. What's it called? But Nia, you were telling me about having a creative community. Was it a creative community homed or anchored in diaspora that you craved? Because Toronto is known for its creatives, right? Not even the big ones. Like even जो उनके commons हैं, जो उनके छोटे होते हैं, मतलब छोटे by छोटे I mean social उनका social footprint उतना नहीं है.
Yeah.
They're known for that stuff, right? So was it people who looked like yourself or had the same experiences that you had, more or less?
Primarily, yes. Because like you're right. There's small creators, there's big creators, there's huge creators.
Yeah. Toronto's known,
is,
man.
They're littered, I would say. With, like हर कोने में आपको कोई ना कोई blogger इस type का मिलेगा. It was just that in diaspora, I was craving that connection, because the way that some people have privilege, white privilege exists, right? And they have a certain level of autonomy on their art that maybe I don't have, being from diaspora. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how to talk to these people, because their whole stratosphere is different. The way they function, the way they move, I can't relate to that.
Sure.
And I need someone I need a community of people who can understand where I'm coming from when I say something, as opposed to people who might not get where some ideas are coming from, or where some things I'm trying to execute are coming from.
Sure.
I've started to build a community like that around me in Toronto.
Alhamdulillah.
All because of the podcast, right? I've connected with so many great creatives in Toronto, and they're like, we should hang out. I'm like, yes, we should. And there's this really cool creative community called YYZ Creators.
Okay.
They're like 15, like photographers, videographers, writers, cinematographers, and they go on photo walks, and they go on they edit together, and they have these workshops together.
Beautiful.
And that's what I was craving, yaar. मुझे ये नहीं मिल रहा था. अभी recently शुरू हुआ है, like in the past 6 months. And we had Osama Khalid on the podcast, who is one of the people who started YYZ Creators. Okay. And I was like, bro, you're amazing, man. We should link up. He's like, yeah, we should too.
Yeah.
And it was only because of the podcast where we were like, yeah, we should be friends. What are we doing?
Yeah, but I mean, so that's the thing, right? One thing does lead to another, and that should never be understood as a taboo, right? Because people are like, oh, you came on a podcast, now you're friends. Yeah, dude. Technically, that's how stuff happens,
Yeah.
How else are we supposed to meet, especially in this time of the pandemic? And your experiences in diaspora, my experiences in diaspora were at some points very isolating for those reasons, right? But Allah ne bahut karam kiya. I made beautiful, wonderful friends, and so many of them.
Yeah.
Allah ke karam se. But when you don't have friends, there is a whole nother level of otherness, right? Where you're like, yaar, main yahan ka to nahi hu, right? And I could switch the code of my language. I could put in all sorts of abouts in my speech, and I could learn to pronounce the V and the W, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just not.
No. What are you like? Bunyad kya? Are you introvert or are you an extrovert?
I don't know, man. Never.
Because I've seen you in different situations, and I've seen you shift from introvertedness to extrovertedness.
I've just
so
never.
What is like the root?
I've never bothered to find out, man. A lot of these things now, I think a friend of mine, she messes about with me often. She's like, it's because you're a Libra that you can't make these decisions, right? But I just, anytime someone's like, are you with this or that? I just don't like the polarity.
Yeah.
And it bothers me. It's not that, there's nothing wrong with that question per se, right? Like people can decide. Like Irfan Bhai is known to have said multiple times, I'm an introvert, right? Me, I just don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
Similarly, people,
why I asked that was because I wanted to know if that changed when you lived in Toronto, Akile. Because I was known to be a very extroverted person in Karachi before I left.
Uh-huh.
And then as soon as I landed in Toronto and I started going to school there, I found myself being very introverted, very shelled,
Ooh.
very like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't know if it was like my superiority complex bhi tha mujhe bachpan mein bahut zor se ke like I listen to cool music and I listen to like indie movies.
All right.
And like I watch indie movies and I listen to indie bands and all that stuff. And like everybody there listens to Drake and I'm like, ho gaya bas. Kitne dafa one dance hoga.
Bro, har dafa. Bro, I love One Dance, dude.
Yeah, like
I love Drake.
That was my immaturity of being like very shelled off. Like you know,
Sure.
people aren't worth my time. It's the bakwas.
Sure.
And that made me an introvert. And that was hard to deal with, yeah. Because that's not who I am.
But it's interesting also that, you know, people will chalk it up to just cultural shock or just something or just the other thing. But I think there's something to that, man. So yeah, dekho, you can be as confident as you want in Pakistan. You go there because you've consumed their culture so much. And because that, whatever that is, that skin color, that way of dressing, that accent, whatever, that height, whatever, because that is the leading man or woman in all stories that you consume, most stories that you consume, ab to bahut better ho gaya. But because that is the archetype, right, of the protagonist, you always feel like they're supposed to be the ones talking and you're supposed to be the ones listening.
Yeah.
Right? That's part of our post-colonial hangover, post-colonial, you know, heritage, all those things. But primarily in our day-to-day, that's what it is. Yaar, you're supposed to be talking. I'm supposed to be listening. And, you know, I spent 7 years in Canada. Some of my closest friends are from that archetype, right? And to this day, sometimes, you know, like I've had instances where routine interaction, maybe I'm getting pizza or whatever, and I've had a white person shout me down proper, right? Ki, don't you speak English?
Yeah.
And I couldn't just turn around and tell him, I definitely speak English, right? Alhamdulillah. Or that I'm doing a degree in writing or what. I just couldn't, right? And I don't know. And, you know, also toxic masculinity and all those things. And then I did ponder. I was like, well, am I scared? Am I afraid of this person? Why am I not able to respond? You know? So obviously there's fear, sure.
Something similar happened to me recently as well. Recently as in like 2 saal pehle. I was talking to Zarak yesterday about this.
Zarak Yusuf Zai.
Zarak Yusuf Zai, shout out. Beanzine. We were talking about, he was like, have you ever faced racism in Canada and all that? And I was Alhamdulillah, main jahan rehta hu Toronto mein, it's literally a melting pot, right? You'll have your Asians, Philippines ke log bhi honge, apna Indian, Pakistani, Bengali, Jamaican, everybody's there. Right? Everyone is there. So it's really hard to be racist because the racists usually move out. But nothing's ever happened. Alhamdulillah, my school was great, very multicultural school, very artsy school as well.
Alhamdulillah.
Shout out Shawn Mendes.
When I'm without your kiss. That's the song, right?
That's the song.
I'll be needing stitches.
And so none of that happened in high school, university. One day, me and my friend were at Canada Post.
Okay.
We were mailing something. I think Amazon package stuff. And it was like a big box. And
Canada Post is a post office, by the way.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Yeah,
it's literally in the name.
Listen, man. क्या कहेगा काजी पे कमेंट करते हैं क्यू वाले काजी के साथ मैं क्या करूं
ये ज़्यादती है ये तो ज़्यादती है
तो बेटा please हाँ you were mailing
एक डब्बा था, it was quite like a big box, right?
Yeah.
And we were taping it up because you have to tape it up and whatever. And this guy comes in and he's like joking around with us and we're joking around with him, whatever. And as he looks at the box and he was like passing and he's like, oh my God, what's in that box? A bomb? And then he laughs and then we laugh. And then me and my friend, अब वो चला गया उसके बाद 10 seconds हम खामोश रहे and we were like, did he imply that we were terrorists? And मुझे देखता है मैं उसको देखता हूँ I'm like, I think we just got like racist, like this just happened, like did we just face racism? हमें पता भी नहीं चला. Yeah. And it was the thing, like at that moment it was like a joke and then उसके literally 10-15 seconds के बाद सोचने के बाद we realized no, that was probably...
Well, and Allah ka karam hai that we get this variety of racism where it doesn't hurt us personally. It's not physical at all, right?
No.
But having said that, you know, lots of people have said this. The worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, right? And to that end, there is physiological consequence of constantly living in this fear,
Yeah.
right? कि यार
100%.
ये हम गलत कर रहे हैं, सही कर रहे हैं, क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है, you know? So there is that, I feel. Anyways, yeah, I became an introvert. I didn't, it's not that I became an introvert, it's just that I would constantly be second guessing myself and constantly be hesitating.
Yeah.
And I suppose a large chunk of my eating problems came from that as well, you know, because I just wanted to stay inside, didn't want to go, didn't want to. And, you know, think about the fact that I was in a beautiful university and I had wonderful friends, and more often than not, I just didn't want to go. You know, I just didn't want to go because, you know, it was just all the information that I was getting would just overstimulate me to the point where I would become desensitized to everything, to the beautiful winters, to the beautiful fall, to the beautiful summers. Toronto, Canada is a beautiful country.
Oh, yeah.
But then so is Pakistan.
Yeah.
And if we know one thing, we know that the people fuck things up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and for the most part, people are great too. Right?
Yeah.
But there's whatever.
What was your campus? Was it the downtown campus or the one in Scarborough?
I opted for Mississauga.
Oh, that's a really beautiful campus.
It's a beautiful campus, dude. It's UTM.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Downtown wala bhi khair bahut khatarnak hai. Mashallah se.
I went there when my brother graduated from UFT and he didn't
For sure. Alhamdulillah.
He didn't get a proper, like, you know, jo hoti hai.
I'm just checking my fast so I can drink my.
I think you're good.
Huh?
I think ho gaye 20 ghante.
हाँ, 20 hours and 14 minutes.
There we go.
Alhamdulillah. निहार मुंह में monster पीऊंगा.
Bro,
जो भी होगा ना वो आगे देख लेना.
Yeah, I had breakfast, mom. Don't worry.
Yeah.
This is Kazi. This is how he lives.
Yeah, it's how I live.
And so I went with him, and he was like, yeah, meri photo shoot kar do. I'm like, let's go. And I went to that UFT campus in downtown, and I was like, man, this is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's like it's like it has a castle type feel to it.
Yeah.
And they have this like lambi si garden where it was fall time.
It's also like 200 years old too.
Yeah, man. And it looks like it's 200 years old.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's so much history here. And so many amazing people walk these corridors. And ajeeb si mujhe, you know, that same feeling I got when we all went to Lee Market?
Sure.
That
Sure. It's history, man.
History was announcing itself. History was like, yeah, I exist. I've been here longer than your entire family has been in Pakistan.
Yeah. Or alive, dude.
Or alive, man.
Yeah, at least 2 generations to ho gaye 200 saal.
For sure. And wahi Lee Market ki wo cracked windows and dusty corridors and these old buildings with red bricks. I was like, so much happened here, man, that I am not even aware of. I will never know. Yahan pe kya ho ke khatam.
Was that your first time going to Liari?
That was my first time going to Liari. That was my first time going to Emma Road. That was my first time literally going to like the center of Karachi. And it was beautiful because it was like sunrise time. And again, I was with really, mashallah, really artistic people. And it was just like, I was in a different zone. I was like telling Kazi bhai how I feel weird, man. I feel like I've been here before. And you were like, yeah, man, the city does that to you.
Yeah. It's that history of, it's that history, no? I wanted to say history of violence, but it's definitely that history, no?
Yeah.
It's in your blood, man. The thing is, if I sit down and speak like this to any pragmatic person, anyone who follows any kind of pragmatic principles, they'd be like, you're out of your mind. What am I talking about? I'm talking about your blood having information, but epigenetic traits are a thing. Pehli baat to bakwas na karo. हाँ, ये भी एक चीज होती है वैसे. लेकिन, dude, it's just, how else do you explain having these sentiments, having these memories? These aren't yours.
Yeah,
we never lived through those things, man. You know, like Liari to this day scares me.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, I've only been there a few times and I've only been there in peacetime. Why does it terrify me? Because wahan pe kuch cheezein hui hai na, bro. And they speak to you and they speak to your blood, if nothing else, because parts of my family have lived in Liari.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's very, very interesting to fully come to terms with what you are. And I have recently started to research all of my heritage. Right?
Yes.
So मेरी नानू जो है उस तरफ से I am Urdu speaking.
Oh wow.
Right? Yeah. मैं दादा and नाना बाबा की तरफ से I am proper Sindhi from Semer. Right? मेरी दादी जो है दादू की तरफ से I am a little bit of Pashtun and a little bit of Punjabi,
Yeah.
right? And so just reading up on all because the thing is, these distinctions aren't meant to unite, they're meant to be divisive.
Yeah.
That's why
That's what it is.
you're Urdu speaking and I'm not, right?
Yeah.
For that reason. But really, they're misnomers because I speak Urdu,
Yeah.
right? And you could learn Sindhi if you needed to.
Yeah.
It's those things. But to me, all of them just make up a beautiful part of a wonderful story that I have inherited,
Yeah.
right?
And that you'll pass on, and then
Hopefully,
it'll go on and
Or
further.
or
No, you'll pass it on. Don't worry.
right,
With those genes, you cannot pass it
oh,
on.
Allah Raham kare, kya ho gaya?
No, I only say this because you know how many times people have come up to us and be like, "You guys are twins, right?" And we're like,
You and me?
Yeah.
dude.
So many. This is one of the main reasons I did not wear the hat. I was like, अगर मैंने hat पहन लिया तो लोग बोलेंगे दो काजी बैठे हैं."
Bro, yeah, that'd be
एक
so
with a
cool.
K, with a Q.
Yeah, ek with a K with a Q. That's funny. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong in being mistaken for you. I think
Hey, I'm flattered that I look like Kazi.
Allah Raham kare, that's nothing. That is nothing. That will register as non-information. But what I'm saying is, so ये जो makeup है ना, genetic makeup, it's referred to as Indo-Aryan, right? Because the Indian genetic makeup does not have in itself a distinct ab ho gaya hoga shayad, because this information is like 2-3 saal purani, but technically we are Indo-Aryan.
Yeah.
There's the Mongolite.
Yeah.
And there's the Negroids,
Yeah.
which is the black people, obviously, as the name suggests, and then the Asian people. Or Mongolite mein sab aate hain, by the way, right? This is not, again, this is actual racism,
Yeah.
right? Because we're distinguishing, right? And so because we look like this, we're just Indo-Aryan.
Yeah.
Indian subcontinent and Aryan. That's what we are, right?
But it's interesting you were talking about heritage because I'm at that age in my life where I have also started exploring my heritage.
Okay.
What does it mean to be a Syed? Because I'm also Syed. What does it mean to be a Mahajir as per se? And I don't like that term at all. I am a Mahajir in the sense that I am an immigrant.
Bro, you're an
that
actual
lives
Mahajir.
in Canada.
Yeah.
But in Pakistan, I am not. I hate that term. And but I was exploring that, what it means. Like
It's a political identity, no?
Yeah.
Your dad,
Yeah.
we need to get into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Is because the thing is, I'm not even understanding Muhajir to be a derogatory term.
No.
Right? It's a term that is extremely pertinent and has been trivialized.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the problem, right?
That's the thing, yeah.
हर कोई बंदा पैदा होते ही, bro, आपने वो मेहनतें ही नहीं की, आपने वो तकलीफें नहीं उठाई, कैसे कैसे हो गए?
And the thing is, it's I feel like it's to put you in a box. Like you're how can my mom be a Mahajir? She was born in Karachi, man. Like second, third generation Pakistani Americans don't consider them Pakistanis anymore. They're considered Americans.
Yeah.
Hassan Minhaj is an Indian American, but he's more American than he is Indian.
Yeah, of course.
His identity will never be questioned.
No.
Yeah, are you American or not? No. He is American. He votes. He has political opinions. वो जाके कांग्रेस में testify करके आता है. There's so many things he does that are purely American, and nobody questions it because of his skin color. But because we live here and the political climate and yada yada yada, history, blah blah blah, everybody knows what's happened.
Yeah.
It is trivialized. But I was exploring that, and like I'm at that age where I talk to my dad a lot about his bachpan and how it was.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Because my dad's from East Pakistan and he was born in 1960, and then 11 saal ke baad, 1971 happened, and how did you survive that genocide? A lot of his friends didn't make it. A lot of his neighborhood didn't make it. He tells this very scary story, man, about how he was like 72, 73 ki baat thi, 12-13 saal ke the, unko the Bengali nationalists like wrapped them up and they put them in this outhouse.
Okay.
And bacche the, aurtein bhi thi, and like apparently it was kind of like this slaughterhouse type situation.
Allah Raham kare, bro.
And in concentration camp wala. And he was just terrified because they would like take people away and they wouldn't come back.
Oh wow, man.
And he was just like, I needed to get out. And wahan pe my older Taya, he was a doctor. Unke saath ek nurse kaam karti thi, and she was spearheading that operation, and she helped my dad escape. Right? It was like that situation. And he was 13 years old, didn't have chappal, bhage wo towards the city because the city was a bit more safer because more people were there. Ye thodi outskirts of Dhaka ki baat kar raha hu. And he would just like run towards the city and he didn't look back for like I don't know, 2 hours.
Oh man.
And then when he finally like got to the city, he went to like where my dada was, and everybody calmed down. And then my dada was like, "Chalo beta bhago yahan se." Ek ek karke like passports were a bit more easier, and things were easier to like you could escape easily. क्योंकि तस्वीरें भी नहीं होती थी passports में उस ज़माने में, right? This is like 72, 73. पता नहीं किसके क्या करा के अब्बा को भगाया with some of his friends and some of my puppies, and they came to Karachi.
Wow.
That's how it was.
Jeez.
Through India, because my dada was in the railway.
Imagine that history of violence is in your blood.
Yeah.
But think about the fact, Allah mi unko hayati de. This is a person who's right now sitting in Toronto.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, he's sitting in Toronto. Assalamu alaikum. He's sitting in Toronto, comfortable.
Yeah.
But how long really is 60 or 70 or 80 years? How long is it, man?
It's not a long
to
time,
forget that kind of trauma,
Yeah. And so imagine going to that guy and his son is like, Abba, main writer banunga.
Tell me how that is.
It's tough. Like when this conversation started to occur in my house, it was like, I was so frustrated. I was like, Abba ko kyun samajh mein nahi aa raha ki ye ek thriving field hai. It was late, like a few years ago, I would say, like a couple of years ago, that I realized that the things that he has seen, he is always in that survival mind state. And that's how he will be. Yeah, Inshallah, Allah mujhe paise de, mere bhai ko paise de, he'll see our uruj and our success and all that. He will still have that mindset, yaar, bure waqton ke save karke rakho, you need that, right? And he will forever remain with that notions, and I have to respect that.
Because there's scars on his soul, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Things like that scar they fracture you, man.
Yeah.
I don't understand how else to say it. Like I have similar stories about my dad and about my mamus and all those things, but all that in summation just means that there's stuff that you wear for the rest of your life, man. That stuff that doesn't leave you. This stuff, how could it?
It can.
And I hope it doesn't leave, at least the positive aspects of it don't leave you and Bashar.
Yeah.
I really hope that aap log bhi, you take that with you in your lives, because the thing is, far too often we'll take things for granted. All sorts of things, by the way. Food, drink are the basic what do you want? Basic items that we take for granted, but really just this ability to move about. Like, you came to Pakistan just because. You didn't have to, man.
No.
There's nothing that you're doing here. You just because, Allah ka karam hai.
And I see that because the second thing that happened, so like my dad lived through that, and then he came to Karachi, and then the whole Muhajir Qawmi movement situation happened, and he wasn't really even welcomed in Karachi in the way that he thought he would be. Wow. Because, tum to Muhajir ho?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, yeah, but like I'm here now, right?
Yeah.
Let's call it a day.
Yeah.
No, wo pura situation 80s, 90s mein hua. And then my dad was like, when we were born, we should go to the US. Like, it was the US was booming. This is late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
He sends us to the US, and he lands on 8th September 2001. He goes to sleep, wakes up, and the towers are down.
Allah raham kare, bro.
And then that's another whole war that he had to go through, which was like living in California between 2001 and 2005. Insane. And California tab ke bahut liberal state hai. And the amount of stuff that they face. Like my mom used to wear a abaya, a burqa. Okay. And she had to take it off.
Oh, wow.
Like that's not like, it wasn't a question. Like ek do dafa she went to the mall and she got catcalled, and is tarah ki 2-3 situations hui. Abba mere namazi, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And he used to pray, and like he would get like nudged as he's praying, even though it's like in a secluded hallway, yahan pe koi nahi aata hai. And like somebody comes and nudges him, would sajde mein te stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I have so much disdain for the US, man. Like, I'm so happy we're in Canada. Canada has not. Hoga, definitely hoga. I have not experienced.
Alhamdulillah. That's, yeah.
So I can't be like, मैं आँखें नहीं बंद कर सकता कि ये होता ही नहीं कनाडा में. अभी indigenous बच्चों की वो मिली हैं यार, graves मिली हैं 200 साल पुरानी. So I can't close my eyes to that.
No.
But my own experiences do not resonate like that.
I think one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced, and I get teary about it talking about even now, but in the moment, वो जो janitor थे, I don't remember his name, but अल्लाह में उनको रूज दिखाएंगे इंशाल्लाह, because दिल से ऐसी दुआएं निकली थी. So there's this big burly dude, right? 6'3". I think he was a Jamaican person. I from whatever I could pick off his accent, I think. And I'm just वो साफ कर रहे थे. And he's cleaning up. मैं भूल जाऊंगा इस हॉल को क्या बोलते थे, but there was a hall. There's multiple halls in UTM, लेकिन एक बड़ा सा हॉल था और वहाँ पे usually क्या बोलते हैं उनको, टाउन हॉल मीटिंग्स होती थी, सही ना. He's cleaning it up अकेले खड़े में. अच्छा मुझे देर हो रही थी, क्लास में जाना था, ज़ोहर की नमाज़ थी, ज़ोहर का वक्त था, and I just needed to quickly just pray. And वहाँ पे जो था UTM में वैसे prayer room भी है, but I just didn't have the time. तो मैंने उनको बोला भाई यहाँ पे मैं नमाज़ पढ़ लूँ. He wasn't Muslim. I know he wasn't Muslim because उनका नाम से क्या पता पड़ता है, but for sure I had to explain to him कि मुझे करना क्या है. He's like, you want to say a prayer? I'm like, I want to pray. He's like, yeah, go ahead, man. And just him allowing, because the thing is, dude, आप सफाई कर रहे हो, आपका टाइम डिले होगा, ठीक है, I could take the liberty and be like, सिर्फ 5 मिनट ही तो है, सिर्फ मैं नमाज ही तो पढ़ रहा हूँ, अच्छी चीज़ ही तो है, लेकिन you're not promised these things, man, and you should never take them for granted. Or at least, I don't know, I didn't understand that to be something that he had to do. कि यार आपको मुझे नमाज तो पढ़ने देनी चाहिए ना. Because that's the kind of liberty that, I mean, I don't know, I didn't think I should take with him. And so he's just like, हाँ अच्छा ये करना है, अच्छा you want to talk to God, अच्छा पढ़ लो क्या है, And it was just such a beautiful thing, because here's two people who didn't, we spoke English, but we didn't speak the same English. We didn't grow up in the same places. We did not have the same experiences. And it didn't matter because, because insaniyat, bro. Because fucking humanity, man.
That's why I have so much respect for Canada. I've been to a few places, alhamdulillah, traveling and whatnot. And the positive stereotypes of Canada are 100% true. People are obnoxiously nice.
Obnoxiously
right?
Nice. Yeah.
To the point where like
I mean, why are you smiling? It's minus 35, dude. Kya matlab?
Bro, they'd be like at Tim Hortons. This has happened so many times where I would go up to the counter to pay, and this person in front of you already paid.
Why? Just because, right? Like,
they'd be like, what's the? I've done this too now because I say other developers.
Yeah.
2-3 dafa mere saath hua. I went up to the Tim Hortons counter, drive-through ke, and they're like, the person in front of you paid. I was like, okay, so I'll pay for the person behind me. And then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And it to the point where like now when I go there and I have like an extra $5 pade mein gym, I'm like, yaar piche wale ka order kiya tha. They're like, he ordered this is $7. I'm like, okay, ye lo. Let's pay for the person behind me. And you don't even think about that anymore.
Dude, but the thing
that's
is,
the act of kindness, no?
The thing is that's super powerful because of the theology that we are anchored in.
Yes.
ये तिजारत आप किसी और से कर रहे हो. And ये जो है बहुत serious बात होती है. In fact, this is the most serious thing. और अगर आप ये तिजारत करते रहोगे, अल्लाह ताला आपको कभी भी जो है नुकसान में नहीं जाने देगा. Think about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many values that the West has adopted that are core Islamic beliefs.
Yeah.
Core.
Yeah.
And I'm like, हम क्या कर रहे हैं?
You know that cliche, and I know, we're both gonna sound like uncles here, sitting here. You're wearing a fucking cardigan. You're gonna have glasses and shit, dardy and everything. But often you'll hear this here. They are more Muslim than we are, even though they don't have necessarily, they don't adhere to the belief systems, but cleanliness dekh lo, propriety dekh lo, conventions of respect or decency or propriety dekh lo, minding your physical space, tactile awareness, being kind to your neighbors, overall. They're definitely up there. And I'm not saying there's not bad apples there. Of course there are.
हर जगह होते हैं.
So bro, मेरी बात सुनो ना. Did we not just talk about how bad the MQM की militancy and उससे पहले ANP और वो सारा system था यहाँ पे?
बिल्कुल था.
Did we not just have that? We didn't have it because we can't. Are not allowed to have those conversations.
ये मेरे जाने के बाद आएगा ना? Okay, good.
Bro, यार. But हाँ.
Yeah, and like you're talking about like helping your neighbors, right? Abhi Toronto में record snow हुई है, like कोई 55 centimeter गिर गई. Like my dad, the cutest photo ever. My dad was in the snow and his snow was coming to his waist, and my dad's a short dude, and that was just the cutest thing ever.
You're not a short dude.
Alhamdulillah. But yeah, the neighbors had a snow blower, and like, if my dad and my brother were to start shoveling that shit,
yeah,
अभी तक shovel ही कर रहे होते हम लोग के podcast के बीच तक. And the guy was like, yeah, I'll shovel your thing.
Yeah.
And gaadi piche kari, shovel kari. And we saved like, 2-3 hours of our day. And itni mehnat mashakkat.
Yeah.
That's what it is there, man. That's what it is there.
And that's what upsets me greatly is कि मैं अपने in my own fractured personality, in my own fragmented identity, मैं उन्हीं चीज़ों में फंसा हुआ था. I couldn't just look up because you go into survival mode, you put your head down, you're like, I just have to get through it. But you weren't there to survive, man. In fact, I don't think you're anywhere to survive because Allah ka karam hai, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not ill. I was physically all right. Even then, पेट का एक मसला था. That's been a thing with my life. But I just couldn't look up, man. And sometimes I regret that. Allah raham karega.
This is why I pressure you to come.
I know, I understand.
Kazi bhai, aao, kamra de rahe ho main, aap aao. This time you will look up and you will be like, wow.
Because the thing is,
cool.
And the thing is, I shared beautiful experiences throughout that. Like one of my closest friends, Chris, obviously, Daniela, Magda, just all these people would have to force me to look up. Yeah, upar dekh, bro. Hamza Ali Khan right now is in the UK, dude. Hamza Ali Khan. Ali, dude, mujhe yaad aate hain. But the thing is, Toronto is a beautiful city. And that's not to take away at all from Karachi, which is also a beautiful city.
Also very
but
beautiful.
But the thing is, there is no need, wahi jo baat hai, there's no need to establish polarities. Hum abhi baat kar rahe hain, we're sitting here speaking fondly about our experiences in Toronto. Not saying we didn't have bad experiences.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And not saying there aren't beautiful experiences that we've had in Karachi.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just this need for people to dismiss now.
The thing about Karachi that I absolutely love is that it leaves it's like Karachi ki khushboo hoti hai, right? And it leaves that on you forever.
Bro, but khushboo bollo aap.
No, it has its own distinct odor, smell, color, taste, flavor. Jo bhi ye bolna chaho aap. Ek specific Karachi ka ye hai. And once you experience it, once you live in it, breathe in it, it is with you forever. Like मेरे भाई कहीं भी दुनिया में जाते हैं ना, we are so Karachi.
We are Karachi,
कि आप मतलब दूर से पकड़े आते हो यार ये लौंडे कराची के. ठीक है.
What's interesting is I'm not Karachi.
Where you're Hyderabad.
So I don't know what I am now, na?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I would say you're Karachi.
Okay.
Well, the way you speak, this is the way you move around. It's very Karachi. When you go out, people will be like, "Yeah, aap Pakistan se ho?" And you'll be like, "Yes." And then immediately be like, "Aap Karachi se ho?"
Yeah.
Aap lage rahe ho Karachi se.
Yeah.
You wahan pe, I've hung out with a lot of Lahoris and a lot of
I'm definitely not from Lahore.
And we are very different. From
Yeah.
It's,
of course.
It's the whole East Coast, West Coast thing in the US, right?
Of course, yeah.
Ye bahut prominent hai, and you cannot deny that.
Bro, mannerisms, right?
Colloquialisms, mannerisms, the way we joke around, the way we talk. It's completely
different. Us din mein baat kar tha na, it's even like, again, epigenetic traits. Epigenetics is a thing. Epigenetics, basic, colloquially explained or crudely explained. If at the time of conception of me, my father was overweight, my genetics are more predisposed, have a greater predisposition towards being obese.
Yeah.
Right? That's epigenetics. Meaning in one lifetime.
Yeah.
Matlab you could, or not even one lifetime, you could just have those markers changed. And now there's research on this. I can't cite it. I'm not a scientist. I'm talking shit, whatever.
Yeah, sue him.
No, Allah don't sue me. Please don't sue me. Allah maaf kare. But yeah, so obviously this stuff is in your blood. Like मैं आपको उस दिन भी बता रहा था कि someone who is a Pathan, right, is different from me in at least this much कि his ancestors came from the mountains.
Yeah.
मेहनत और मुशक्कत उनने भी देखी, मेरे बड़ों ने भी देखी, आबा अजदाद ने. लेकिन it's a different kind of मेहनत मुशक्कत, and so it gives you different kinds of proclivities, right?
सही बात है, 100%.
So my proclivities will have to do with warm weather because we lived near rivers, right? That's where the Sindhi people come from, right? Agriculture and rivers. I will have greater proclivity towards telling stories and being a little softer. The features are softer, and then the skin tone and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm used to living in the sun. In comparison, the Pashtuns are going to be harder because they lived in the mountains. Less food, less abundance, more harshness, more hardship.
Yep.
So ye cheezein, there's no way you can not, right?
Yeah, it's in your genetic code.
How are you not going to be affected by these? And similarly, people from Lahore and people from Karachi, again, we're all Pakistani. there's no real difference.
Yeah.
By the same time, mannerisms, colloquialisms, all that stuff will be different because we're from different places.
One of my friends was like, would you ever be able to live in Lahore? And I thought about that and I was like, I don't think so. Like, even though they say that I've never been to Lahore, right?
Me neither.
Me neither, right? We've never been to Lahore.
Yeah.
And whoever, आप जिससे भी बात करो वो यही बोलते हैं यार Lahore क्या बना हुआ है यार. It's so much more cleaner than Karachi. It's so much more this and
Bro,
that.
but the thing is that's think about this now. This again is coming from obviously immense privilege.
Yeah.
But is it cleaner than Kuala Lumpur?
No, it's not. But the argument is not that. The argument is that, like, when you're like shitting on Karachi, yaar kachra bahut hai. They'll be like, yaar Lahore mein to bilkul bhi nahi hai. I'm like, okay, but I don't think I can survive in that culture of Lahore.
Sure.
I'm a very Karachi dude, man. I need that Karachi
Whatever
it is, right? Whatever I was
yeah.
trying to explain, Pele, that magic, that mythos, whatever it is, that sparkle, I need that.
Yeah.
In Karachi. That's why people from Karachi are not moving to Lahore.
Yeah.
बहुत कम लोग कर रहे हैं.
हाँ.
जा रहे हैं,
And it's
but
difficult.
they're not moving in hordes.
No,
Why?
it's difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, dude, I wonder about that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so if you had ever asked me when I was living in Hyderabad to move anywhere else, I wouldn't want to. I'm not that person. I suppose I just don't, वही वाली बात, I don't look up, I don't look at the horizon and get excited about, traveling. I'm just not that person. I don't know. Whatever it is.
Yeah, we talked about this. I was very surprised that you're not into traveling like that.
But the thing, that's because I've been forced to shift home 7 times in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm 29 years old. Right? Allah Raham karega. So it's... But when I was living in Hyderabad, I was forced to go to Karachi. I went to Karachi. I was forced to go to Kuala Lumpur. Went to Kuala Lumpur. Was forced to go to Toronto. Went to Toronto. Allah ka karam hai. And I'm so glad that I did. And I was forced. Alhamdulillah. And obviously, this also speaks to a problematic mindset, because if I had been open to that, I would have obviously enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
Right? Having said that, it confuses me to think it does not. It's not that it confuses me. I just wonder, what's that decision-making process like, where people decide between cities, right? So, just Allah ka karam hai, I didn't have to choose Toronto, right? But what if I had to make a decision between Toronto and Montreal? What goes into that? Well, I mean, Montreal apparently has more instances of racism. वो एक बात है. But अगर चलो, if it was not that, right? Like, Karachi and Hyderabad is not a good comparison because इतने करीब है.
बहुत करीब है.
And but say if you're going to want me to decide, and say कारोबार वगैरह वाला scene नहीं है, right? या तो job होती है.
Yeah.
That's an easy out.
Yeah.
Right? My work's there, right?
Yeah.
But what if those aren't the factors? Then what helps you decide if you want to, live in
wherever, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. So I recently read that J.K. Rowling lives in Scotland, right?
What?
You didn't know that?
No, dude.
She lives in Edinburgh, and she lives in Scotland, and I was like, why?
Yeah, why?
She's a person who has immense wealth, immense privilege,
Dude, immense,
right? First billionaire author, whatever.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And I'm like, why Scotland? फिर मैं गया Scotland, and I was like, okay,
that's why Scotland.
I understand why.
Okay.
Scotland is Edinburgh is a mythical city. Old Edinburgh, it's like you have walked into 1885.
Wow.
And it's like British Raj and all of that. Like, it's just castles, cobblestone roads, like houses that are like 200, 300, 400 years old. There's a writer's museum. Like, I get it now why you live in Edinburgh.
He gets it, J.K. Rowling.
I get it, J.K.
He understands.
Joanne, I call her Joanne.
Joanne. Okay.
And like, it's like, that's her decision because she can make that decision. Now, I want to live in Edinburgh. But now, मेरे लिए तो 1,000 चीजें मुझे सोचनी पड़ेंगी.
Yeah.
ठीक है, I like the vibe, I like the aesthetic of the city. I like that it's a primarily writers का शहर है.
Yeah.
लिखारियों का शहर है.
Yeah.
But do I have work there? How much is rent? गाड़ी कितने की मिलती है? Insurance क्या होता है?
Yeah.
All that. Now that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I asked my dad this. I was like, Abba, how did you choose Canada? Why did you choose Canada? And because it was between Canada and US that he wanted to go to. And I was
Again, yeah.
and his answer was purely need-based. It was not like, oh, weather बहुत अच्छा है. No. He was like,
I mean, he wouldn't
he was
say
like,
that,
यार,
but-
immigration खुला हुआ था. बिहार school वहाँ पे, if you wanted to do university, वहाँ पे आपको OSAP loans वगैरह मिल जाते हैं. I could give you guys a better life there than I could in the US or anywhere else.
But देखो,
That was his decision making.
but isn't that something to think about the fact that he is still entirely governed by the needs of others. मतलब ठीक है आप लोग उनके बच्चे हो
Direct dependence है.
हाँ but bro बच्चे हो but the thing is again फिर भी आपकी अपनी भी तो कोई होती है ना नहीं.
I don't think our parents, I'll speak for my parents. I don't think they function like that. हम लोगों ने इतनी दफा उनको, they went to Turkey अभी.
Yeah, माशाल्लाह.
2 साल, 2.5 साल, before the pandemic.
Yeah.
We were like, Abba, you need to go out. Like, you do your own thing. They're like, no, हम तुम्हारे बगैर नहीं जाएंगे. We forced them. I was like, they were in Karachi. I was like, वापसी में आप Turkey, वो Istanbul रुके, आप 3 दिन का layover कर लें, just hang out there. Bro, every day they would call us for like an hour. I'm like, what are you doing? This defeats the purpose. Yeah. And like they literally cannot function without. We were planning, like, because Bashar has work and I had work, and my dad was free for a week, for whole 10 days. And we were like, "Aap Calgary se hoke aa jaye." Like, just go to Calgary, Banff, वगैरह घूम के आ जाए. We'll get you a car, we'll get you hotels and everything. Yeah. And they wouldn't go without one of us. So Bashar had to take a week off as well, and they did a whole thing. And
bro, उसमें पता है क्या? That's
how they are now, man.
But I feel कि उसमें, you know how we were talking about that insecurity and stuff. उसमें उनको भी थोड़ा शायद feel होता होगा ना? Because I've spoken to some very well-to-do brown uncles.
Yeah.
Brown uncles in
We're like 5 years away from that.
Yeah, bro.
Being a brown
5, bro. आप 5 हो गए, मैं 1 साल और है मेरे पास.
No,
shaving my head. I'm done. I'm calling it, man. I'm calling it. All this heartbreak, I can't take it. Allah Rab kare. But anyways, what's it called? I met quite a few brown uncles driving Beamers, right? Driving Audis and stuff. Big houses on Lakeview tha, Lakeshore. Lakeshore. Yeah. Lakeview to yahan pe. Lakeshore in Mississauga, or down in Oakville.
Yeah.
Big houses, right? I sit down with them. The first thing they want to say is, if they're from whatever part, Karachi kaisa hai? Mujhe yaad aata hai. I'm like, aapko kyun yaad aata hai? And the thing is, it's about that hierarchy of needs, and we're all essentially just wanting the same thing, a human connection, I suppose, or a story, a legacy, something to tell ourselves.
Yeah.
It's that meaning governing principle. Na? So I would ask them often, I was like, yeah, but you don't look like you want for anything, man.
Yeah.
I'm talking 3 garage houses. I'm talking surrounded by your grandkids. Wow, what do you mean you want to? What about Karachi, dude? Like, and I'm not saying, so Karachi में भी अगर कोई ऐसे रह रहा होता है ना, I get confused. I'm like, dude, अगर आप ऐसे रह रहे हो, why do you want to go abroad?
Yeah.
But then obviously other factors, familial issues, or societal imperatives, or whatever else, है, वो सब चीजें हैं अपनी जगह पे. Like, one of the worst mistakes I've ever made is asking a woman why she wants to leave Karachi. Not doing that again.
No, not a good idea. The amount of... Yeah, I did that too, and I got a similar response as well. Yeah. And I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot that.
I forgot. They hate women. We hate women.
Yeah, it's not very woman-friendly here.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like... Yeah. Like, I don't want... What's more to say about that? Like, would you say that things are getting better for women here, though? I guess we're like the wrong people to answer this.
I don't subscribe to that brand of identity politics. I think you and I can have a conversation about it, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
ऐसा तो मैं नहीं समझूंगा just because we're men. I do feel कि we're headed in the right direction in that women now know how to deal with us.
Yeah.
Right. And how to deal with us as in men. I don't know. How many disclaimers do you want me to give? Cisgendered, Sunni, Urdu speaking, Sindhi speaking. मतलब जो मर्द होते हैं. Just take away power, man. Patriarchy is based on power, and patriarchy, by the way, is not just based on the power of men. It's based on the power of a few over the many.
Yeah.
It's predicated upon focusing the factors of production or capital in the hands of the few
at the top.
The elite, right? It has very little to actually do with gender.
Yeah.
Gender just...
But I have seen, like, amongst my friends and amongst men that I'm hanging out with, that there is a shift.
Bro, मैं बता रहा हूँ ना, because
there is a prominent shift.
Because women are taking that power back.
Yeah.
Because, we took entirely too much undue liberty.
Yes.
With the catcalling, with the instances of, you know, khuda na khasta abuse or rape, all those things.
Yeah.
We did nothing, man, you know. And so women are taking power back, rightfully so. They should always have had the power. We were no one to decide if they shouldn't have power.
Yeah.
It was always theirs to decide.
Yeah.
It was taken from them and they were violated in this most fundamental way. And so yeah, along those lines, of course, it's getting better. Is it going to be easy? Is it going to happen tomorrow?
No. This is generational. Maybe my grandkids will see a better Karachi where like maybe their friends can hang out.
Yeah, but bro,
I don't think we will.
But उसमें भी ना मुझे ये feel होता है कि again polarities are dangerous, right? Going any which way unconditionally is dangerous.
Yeah.
जिसको हम colloquially ये भी बोलते हैं, we use this colloquialism, आप बहुत ज़्यादा liberal हो गए हो.
Yeah.
ये भी हो जाता है फिर.
ये भी हो जाता है. Yeah.
So you don't want to lose yourself. You are not from those cultures where you have imported this language from. By the way, this language also is deteriorating those cultures.
It is.
Right?
And I will speak. I'll talk about this. There's a lot of confusion around identity here.
Sure.
Not in Karachi, in this subsection of Karachi, which is DHA and uske Muzaffat.
What do you mean, bro?
What I'm saying is that I've hung out with a few certain people.
You're trying to say
I've seen certain people
you're
that
telling me I don't always sound like this? Nazar, if that is really your real name. They never left Karachi. I'm just trying. What the fuck are you doing with your face?
There have been conversations that I've had with people that I was like,
Allah रहम करे.
मैं उर्दू में बात कर रहा हूँ, आप क्यों अंग्रेजी झाड़ रही है साहिबा? Like we can speak in Urdu together.
Yeah.
I feel that there's a big confusion of who we are. Some people there's a section of Karachi that is so impressed and so influenced by the West that they are trying to be the West.
Sure.
I don't know how to phrase it. I don't know how to word it. I just
holier than the Pope is a phrase that comes to mind.
Sure. Let's go with that one.
Yeah.
I just know that when I'm in that circle, I feel very uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be here.
What's going on here, right? Yeah.
What is
absolutely.
going on here?
You know,
and like I can't recognize them. तो वो क्या अपने आप को recognize करेंगे, right?
Yeah. Allah रहम करे.
Allah रहम करे, man.
So me and Ali Bhai actually had this conversation in the podcast I did with him.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. उसमें भी यही गुफ्तगू हुई थी कि there is this paradox in our identity where no one's better than Pakistan, bro. Nobody's better than Pakistan. Urdu से बेहतर ज़बान नहीं है, right? But I hate myself because I don't sound like those archetypes that we were talking about earlier, right? And I absolutely would take the chance to leave if I could, but I don't. And so I hate you for leaving.
Yeah.
You know? There's a lot of brokenness, man. There's a lot of brokenness. And if you don't talk, it's never going to be fixed.
I remember during our live podcast, the last question you asked me was, where is home? And I was like, oh no, how do I... Because the thing that your question was very valid. And I think about this a lot as well. And maybe 6 saal ke baad Karachi aayo, right? I came last time in 2016 and usse pehle when I left was in 2012.
After this, let's talk about what you saw.
Yeah.
But go ahead, yeah.
For sure. And you asked me what is home and I was like, I don't think it's Karachi anymore. And when I said that, like I saw like the first 2 rows and they were like proper audible gasping.
Bro,
like, what do you mean? And
Karachi mein baithe hue, bro.
Even after the thing, when we were like signing books, and people were coming up to me like, why isn't it home? I feel like you're so confused. And I'm like,
aren't you confused? Look at your accent.
Firstly, I'm young. I'm 25. I'm very young. So I'm still trying to figure my stuff out.
Bro, again,
that's
not the answer. No? The answer is, aap apna accent to dekho na. Main confused hu. Huh?
And I was just like, I wasn't just one person, like 4-5 लोगों ने आके मुझसे बोला, and I was like, देखो, just geographically, just speaking in time, I've lived in Canada longer than I've lived in Karachi.
Okay.
Canada is the longest I've ever lived in any country.
Alhamdulillah.
ठीक है, कराची में 7 साल रहा, कनाडा में 10 साल हो गए,
माशाल्लाह,
सऊदीया में 4 साल था और 4 या 5 साल US में था. ठीक है, so by time wise, which is the most important currency, 10 साल मैंने कनाडा में गुजार दिया. So there has to be some connection to that country that I have that is irreplaceable from the other places.
Sure,
that
of course,
right?
Yeah.
And then also my parents are there, my life is there, I work there, I write there, so many things. वहीं पे gravity मुझे pull करती है.
You'd want to settle there?
Yeah, I
If you-
100%. I have settled there. I live there.
No, if you wanted to, if you got married or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
बच्चे वच्चे वहाँ पे, inshallah.
100%, inshallah. And so how can I be that? That would be me being
Disingenuous.
Is it disingenuous, hypocritical to be like, I'm in Karachi, so I'm going to be like, Karachi is the best.
Yeah.
And right, Karachi is home. It's not. I literally physically do not have a home in Karachi.
Right.
When we left in a few years ago, we sold everything.
But yeah, एक मैं बात
तो
बताऊँ.
मैं कैसे बोल सकता हूँ?
I don't know why that's something to take personally, because see, so the greatest gift is this: you and me sitting across each other, sharing some beverages,
Yeah.
sitting down, talking, alhamdulillah, or breaking bread. These things are the greatest gift, because मैं बात बताऊँ आपको, say whatever amount of money you want to make,
Yeah.
say 10 अरब रुपए,
चाहिए.
उसके बाद क्या करोगे? उसके बाद एक घर खरीदोगे बहुत बड़ा, उसके अंदर क्या,
आलीशान घर. Yeah.
आलीशान, उसके अंदर क्या करोगे? उसके अंदर वो हर
चीज भर दोगे.
हाँ, चीजें भर दोगे. उसके बाद क्या होगा? उसके बाद मैं अपने भाई के साथ बैठ के बात करूंगा. तो ब्रो फिर अपने इंशाल्लाह अल्लाह हयाती दे अपने वालिदैन के साथ बैठ के बात करूंगा.
Yeah.
तो फिर बात कर लो ना.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, we concern ourselves so much with, oh, where do you live, where home is. That was a question meant for epistemological purposes, because you know you want to mark your evolution.
Yes.
Right? कि आप पहले कहाँ थे, अब कहाँ हो, ये वो. Because I also don't know where home is, by the way, right?
Yeah.
But to make it any more than that, to me is a problem, man.
I also think like people in Karachi are very sensitive with their city. Most importantly, because I think internally they're frustrated by it.
Of course.
And they're like, I come in.
It's an abusive relationship, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's a very toxic relationship y'all have with Karachi, by the way.
Yeah.
मैं आता हूँ बाहर से, मैं महीने के लिए आता हूँ, and I can shit about this, and then I can leave. But they can't.
They can't.
Right?
But here's
so
the thing.
Why
right?
would they would be upset कि तुम मेरे घर पे आके मेरे घर की बुराई करके चले जा रहे हो? So that's why I keep my opinions to myself on this.
And that's good that you do, right?
Yeah.
But think about this for a minute, right?
Yeah.
You come to the cleanest, poshest localities in Karachi.
Yeah.
यहाँ पे गैस नहीं है, यहाँ पे बिजली नहीं होती, यहाँ पे पानी नहीं होता. What are we missing, man? You know, like this is the best city on earth. Yeah, but your lover shouldn't force you to compromise on the basics.
Yeah.
Like if there's no reciprocity, man, if there's no respect, if there's no positive regard, maybe you're in a bad relationship.
Yes. And then
Speaking of relationship,
as we know,
Segue.
when our friends are in bad relationships, they don't want to be told.
Sure.
So
And,
it's like
and you risk becoming the bad guy.
you do. और आप उनको बताते हो, आप उनको आईना दिखाते हो कि यार ये तो सही नहीं हो रहा है लौंडे तुम्हारे साथ. And they're like, why would you?
Why
and
would
then
you?
it's after the fact. A lot of my friends and cousins who then moved away, went to Germany, Australia, Canada, and then now when we talk, they're like, bro, this is what we were missing.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Right? It's bare minimum peace of mind, quality of life.
Yeah.
की वाली बात कर रहा हूँ मैं. I'm not talking about money, any of that. I'm just talking about रात में सोने से पहले you feel like you're safe.
उससे लेकिन in contrast, bro, ये भी तो हो रहा है ना आजकल. Instances of race-based crime are also increasing in those places, because the thing is वहाँ पे भी you're not quite white, right? You're the other there.
And you can never be, right?
हाँ.
You can never be.
So-
आप जितनी भी accents बना के बोल दो,
Yeah.
you're gonna stand out.
You look like this.
You look like this.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
बेचारे Michael Jackson has अपने रंग भी सफेद कर लिया, but he still was considered black. And he will forever be that.
So and the thing, वही वाली बात है ना. I suppose that is where my question stems from, is where is home really? Because then, you know, people have made quite a bit of fun about Imran Khan's statement, you know, सुकून या सबर, सुकून सिर्फ कब्र में होता है. But really, you know, I think we romanticize sukoon too much, right? I think we romanticize the notion, the concept of being at peace. I don't think peace is this all-encompassing state. If you understand that to be peace, I don't know if that's something you're going to get in life, you know?
I didn't think I was going to quote Dragon Ball Z on your podcast, but Vegeta says that peace makes a Saiyan weak.
Dragon.
I know.
Rock the
Nobody
dragon,
thought this was going to come up, but here I am quoting Vegeta, where
Dude,
he says peace
Vegeta's
makes a Saiyan weak.
Vegeta's great.
He's great, and he was right. Like, the Saiyan race, it's a warrior race. We are people who survived partition. We are people who survived immigration. We are people who survived whatever is happening in Pakistan now.
Alhamdulillah.
it's hard to live in existence where peace is it.
Bro,
It
and
becomes.
also-
This is
also-
why you'll see this, and I've noticed this. हमारे जो बड़े होते हैं, when they move to the West, UK, Canada, whatever, right, US, after a few years, they develop mental illnesses. By mental illnesses, I mean anxiety, depression, and
Yes.
इस तरीके की चीजें. क्यों? Because they're not used to this. They're not used to listening to their own thoughts. They're not used to having a moment of doing nothing. Khamoshi. They're not used to being sitting outside on their porch and asman ko dekh ke doing absolutely nothing because they can.
Yeah,
That's the privilege that they're not accustomed to.
sure.
And then shit starts cooking up.
Well, but shit starts cooking up, you know, that, but also, you know, again, peace or sukoon is romanticized as an end state. But here's the thing. Here's a finite being who barely has 60, 70, 80, 100 years to live, fantasizing about an end state. You know, that's how ephemeral, that's how temporary this life is. So phir kyun, why do we concern ourselves so much with, you know, retirement and shit? Dude, you weren't gonna live that long, man. Allah hayati de aapko, Allah aapko apne saman mein rakhe.
I mean,
But you know, I don't know, man. I just honestly, that bothers me. I pray for a good end.
good end, yeah.
Inshallah, and I pray to always go out on my feet. Allah
A
raham
good
kare.
end and then a good beginning after that end, inshallah.
That's the actual thing,
Right?
na man. You know,
We forget about that.
We always do. We हम बोल रहे होते हैं यार यहाँ पे इतना बड़ा घर हो जाए, वहाँ पे गाड़ियाँ हो जाए. उसके but the question is that na, what do I want after? I want my friends around me, but they're around me right now. Alhamdulillah.
Do you ever think about legacy? Your legacy. I'm not talking about the legacy that you have inherited. I'm talking about Kazi Muhammad Akbar's
Kazi Muhammad Akbar.
Kazi Muhammad Akbar's legacy. You as a person, your individuality.
Yeah,
If you die tomorrow, would you be okay?
yeah, I wouldn't be okay ever because I'd have to go meet Alamia. And
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you died tomorrow and the life that you've lived, would you be like,
No.
Sayyidi?
Never. Because there was always more that I could have done.
In what sense?
In every sense, man. Think about the kind of privilege I grew up in. Did I help enough people? Did I do enough good things? Did I do enough charity? Did I pray enough? I don't know. The answer to all those is no, right?
Here's the thought exercise.
Yeah.
This is turned into your podcast and whatever.
Yeah.
What would you want your gravestone to say?
Oh, when my graves went down fighting, man.
Damn.
That's it. That's it, right? But that's what it is.
Went down fighting.
Went down fighting because the
love
thing is, here's the thing. No one's getting out of here alive.
Here lies Kazi Akbar.
Yeah.
He went down.
You went down fighting. Because the thing is, I'm never going to, the purposes that I want to accomplish, I'll never accomplish them. And that's all right. You have to be okay with that.
You made peace with that.
You have to be at peace with that.
Go on.
Haris bhai hain.
निकल गए वो लोग.
पता नहीं निकल गए पहुंच नहीं गए हो. Like we're here. But so I'll check that. I'll check the message after this.
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, here lies Kazi Akbar went down fighting because I understand that my purposes are much greater than I am. They're much greater than any one person, and that's all right. In fact, that's the point. The point is the process. The point is not to accomplish a goal. What's the goal?
I think that's something I'm fighting with right now internally. I'm like I'm very like I want this, I want that, NYT bestseller, 100,000 copies, yada yada yada, right?
Inshallah, yeah.
But then in that process, मैंने इरफान भाई से भी बात करी थी. इस process के बीच में इस goal के बीच में I forget the process. यार लिखना भी तो है, बैठ के काम भी तो करना है, and you have to enjoy that. Like I see you editing here hours, and I see you enjoying it.
Alhamdulillah, bro.
Tight मारा है, मैंने beat पे बिठाया है.
Alhamdulillah,
And
bro.
like simple stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like I want that.
And the thing is,
I want
the world, societal imperatives, everyone, world, bol raha hu, aise jaise. Societal imperatives, everything will tell you to not be in love with the process. And so here's something that you must guard jealously. You must guard this love for the process jealously because people will not understand, will not appreciate why you love it so much, right? But it's not their business, right? If you get up in the morning and you're excited to go to your workspace and just, grind out a couple of hours, or if you go into that space begrudgingly, those are both your journeys. No one else meant to understand, but people shouldn't comment on it.
Yes.
That's the only problem. Allah
Very,
rahm
very
karega.
true.
Yeah.
Very true. And that's something that I'm currently like dealing with.
Because sometimes, we obviously know so many people who make videos, right? One of the biggest things about a video is the editing, right?
सही बात है.
There's people that have not just Irfan Bhai, but there's other people also that have huge followings that'll be like, यार edit पे बैठना है, right? वो आपको दावत नहीं दे रहे हैं कि आप बैठ के बोलो नहीं यार आप जो है ना आप देखो हाँ एडिट करो आपके पास इतने फॉलोअर्स हैं ये वो नो they're just telling you allowing you insight into their process कि sometimes they might not enjoy certain facets of the process but they're still going to do it because you have to show up to fucking work, man.
You have to show up to work, man. That's one thing that I have been not struggling with but like reminding myself consistently.
Bro, I struggle with all the time.
कि
All the
अगर
time.
मैं आज अपनी नॉवल छोड़ दूं तो nobody will give a shit. But that's art wasted, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a duty to myself to be like,
But
gotta show up. And that's the duty you have, Kazi. That's the thing I'm saying. What I've learned in this trip, seeing Irfan Bhai work and seeing you work, is that you are committed to your craft.
Yeah, मैं बताऊँ क्या? I'm telling you this now, and this is it's been said like 15,000 times before, but I'm probably the laziest person you know, and I'm also the most inconsistent person you know. And
says the person who has 31 straight.
No, but that's not it. The thing is, I have like that's something that I have to work on, and again. Doing it for any amount of time, having 100 podcasts, having however many vlogs is not the point.
Yeah.
The point is to develop flow and to just keep going, and to, again, not be anchored in whatever validation that activity gives you.
Yeah. But doesn't it feel good when it crosses 1,000 views?
Bro,
come on.
देखो,
the vlog I'm talking about. Because mashallah se Kahe Kazi live, Kahe Kazi podcast crosses 1,000 every podcast.
Allah Rahim kayega, bro. That's not. But that's not the point. See, if I were to anchor myself in that, that'd be a problem, right?
That would be a problem.
Because then I'm going out searching for that.
No, nahi mil raha to hat rahi hai,
right? But again, it's deeper than that. I think Karl Marx, all these philosophers speak about how what happens to you when you become alienated from your own work, right? If you become alienated from your own work, then without a doubt, it'll lead to existential angst. It'll lead to nihilism. Man. There's no stopping it. Now let me just check this message.
Yeah.
In.
I had a question for you.
There was no break. Sanji,
who's your best friend in life?
Is.
So I've been learning something about myself recently.
G.
Friends. So why I asked that question was because I wanted to know, are friends. So what are friends? Do I have friends? I don't know.
You have friends, man.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is
there's 3 of them sitting in your house.
Mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
What I'm struggling with is there are some relationships that have done their time.
Yep.
How do you let go of them?
You don't.
But they require you to let go of them.
Yep.
How do you do that?
You don't.
Kya karte hain phir aap?
Things fall apart, man.
I don't want to do that. No, I don't want that to happen.
Some things are meant to hurt. I think throughout most of our struggles, pivot or are predicated upon trying to avoid hurt. Sometimes you can't. In fact, most times you can't. Things are supposed to hurt. That's part of growing up.
Yeah.
To grow, you must feel pain. That's why they're called growing pains.
There we go.
Right?
Full circle moment.
So it's that, man. Who's my best friend? I don't know. But the thing is, the only reason why I can't tell you is because I would be doing a disservice to all the people, past and present, who've gotten me here. So make no mistake, I have nothing in me that holds me up except the kindness of strangers and Allah ka karam.
Yeah.
And Mummy ki dua. That's it. Alhamdulillah. I've had friends that were 50 years older than me. I've had friends that are 5 years old, right? And I know I'm taking immense liberty with the term friend, but I don't understand it to need any more specification or any more specificity, right?
Yeah.
Because people are like, but from this age to that age, fucking, are they meeting you every day? Do you guys hang out, eat food every day?
That's what I'm saying.
That's nonsense.
So that used to be the case. And then now, as obviously I'm in my mid-20s, inching very, very swiftly, I would say, towards my 30s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I can sustain that kind of dedication, yaar.
Yeah, bro, dekho na.
Dedication bolenge, kya bolenge is cheez ko? Dedication bolenge na?
I don't know. Commitment?
I don't think it's sustainable to that point. Because agar main ye karta rahunga, to phir aage kuch nahi kar sakta.
one of my closest friends to date was Apa Tasneem. Apa Tasneem was 60 years old. My grandfather, Kazi Akbar the first, was her mama. And so she used to call me that because I'm named after him. She used to call me mama. 60 years old when I was 18. Survived cancer twice. It got her the third time. Allah unko jannat nasib kare. And one of my best friends.
Yeah.
Had nothing in common with me. Yeah, I was super soft compared to her. She grew up with in quite a bit of dearth, but she also had a beautiful life. Aakhir mein, towards the end of her life, she was loved by everyone. All these, famous people or infamous people know her by name. Apa Tasneem. Yeah, they know her. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Right? She was Seward ki Gadi Nashin. She's one of the Gadi Nashins of Seward, right? Wahan pe, just straight up gangster lady, doing charity all over the place, and she was one of my best friends.
Yeah.
Right? And then she died. So ab main kya, we're all going to go, and it'll never be okay. I'll never be like, there'll be no closure. It'll never be like, Allah aapko hayati de, mujhe hayati de, 10 saal baad aap puchoge, aur Kazi bhai, ab aapa yaad nahi aati hai? Aati hai. And it'll never be like, okay, Kazi bhai, now do you feel you did enough for her? No. It's never gonna. So I don't mean to make this super heavy, but you did ask me that question.
No, I did. I asked it to make it super heavy.
Yeah. So but the thing, Allah raham kare. But the thing is,
clip काट देना.
वहाँ मैं रो नहीं रहा हूँ. अल्लाह माफ करे, जो है just blank. But it's like that, man. It's like that, and certain relationships are only meant to be in your life for a certain amount of time. And this life, all our lives have been planned by the best of planners. So aakhir mein, that's it, man.
So what relationships are supposed to be in your life forever, though?
None. Just one, dude.
Just one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one. Because the thing is, we might look similar, but you are by far way more practical and pragmatic than I am.
No, I wouldn't.
Which is saying something, dude.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. मैं bro दिल फेंकूं बाकायदा. मैं
Kazi same.
Bro, इतना नहीं जितना मैं समझ रहा हूँ. Allah माफ करे. But what I'm saying is, like, so yeah, I fall in love. And so on and so forth, that I get disappointed, and this is by the way a convention with me कि मैं जो है ना full savior complex में आ जाता हूँ, which is very very stupid, and I renege completely trying to make it so that the other person feels loved, right? Well, here's the problem, right? They're conflating divine love with the love of a person. I'll never be enough because you're looking for unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard एक ही जगह से आती है, और अगर उनका कुन नहीं होता तो ये अगली सांस नहीं होती. सही है ना? तो वो तो मिल रही है, bro. If you're standing up straight, unconditional positive regard आ रही है.
Yeah.
You feel sad, I'm sorry you feel sad, we can work on that.
Yes.
But if we have a fractured relationship with Alamia, with whatever you want, the transcendental unity, the divine, with divinity, that's where most of your hurt is coming from, because you don't have an answer to why you're here.
Yeah.
All the hows are irrelevant. I'm wearing a black jeans, I'm wearing sweatpants, irrelevant. Why am I here? And that why needs to be answered for you to avoid the existential vacuum of nihilism.
Yep. Yep.
So is any relationship meant to last forever? Unfortunately, and it terrifies me saying this, man. I love the people around me, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, same.
But no relationship. Also, relationships can be over without death.
Yes.
Relationships that you thought would last forever could be over without, like without even factoring in mortality. Like there's relationships that you grow out of. And the thing is,
so what are the etiquettes in that situation to be like,
dude?
Well, we're kind of not like vibing or jiving is tarike se.
Just fucking, man, just go out with some dignity, man. Just try and go out with some dignity.
Go out with some dignity.
But try, right? We're not, as human beings, we're not graceful. We're not eloquent. We stumble, we break, we fall, we fracture. That's just who we are.
Sahi baat hai.
Right? We were created weak, and we were created with flaws, and that's all right. It's okay. But just I don't know, man. Listen, forget even that. Forget even dignity and grace. Just try and live, man. Just try and live through it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not complex. It's not like it should never hurt. Things will always hurt. This is going to upset a lot of my liberal friends.
There we go.
There's a reason why you're not supposed to have premarital affairs or premarital sex and all those things. It chips away at your soul. And if instead of imposing that as a religious categorical imperative, if we just try to explain to the young people or anyone, just people, why we're not supposed to do it, it would make a lot more sense, man.
Yeah.
I really think that we have it all wrong when we think some things are just physical. Your physical is tethered to your spiritual. There is no such thing as only physical or only spiritual. There is no practice I undertake right now in this life that is not a window into my mental health, into my spiritual health, into my physical health. I just had a monster. I know they're bad for me. Nihar mukh piye maine. You think that doesn't speak to my mental health or my spiritual health? Of course it does, right? So something as basic, something as intimate as consuming a beverage speaks to my spiritual and mental health. We're talking about sex, man. We're talking about, the most intimate act with another person.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, oh, it's just physical. The fuck does that even mean?
You can't turn it off. You cannot turn it off. I feel like people are trying to convince themselves that, I have no feelings or whatever. Or bro, the two movies that were made on No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits, end mein dono saath hi ho jate hain. What are we doing?
What movies were those?
It's No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits. Ek Ashton Kutcher ki thi, ek Mila Kunis ki thi. And they were the same concept, same movie thi, do different logon ne banai thi, which is also ironic because at the end Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis in real life are not married.
Wow.
Right? And they were in different movies talking about the same thing. But point is, like, you cannot do that. You can't turn it off. No. If you say that you can, I feel like you're doing a disservice to yourself.
You're being
being
you're being cognitively dissonant. But the thing is, again, people do that, I think, to avoid hurt, and I respect that. I do, right? But I think there's a time now to come back, man. You know, because you're only hurting yourself. And listen, man, you're fracturing yourself.
Yeah.
You're shredding yourself into a million little pieces. और देखो फिर वही बात है ना, divine providence. मैं कौन होता हूँ ये बोलने वाला कि अल्लाह मैं आपको माफ नहीं करेगा. वो रहमान है, वो रहीम है. मुझे नहीं पता है.
आपको नहीं पता.
Right? मुझे नहीं पता है बिल्कुल भी. वो आपके और उनके बीच में. मैं सिर्फ आपको ये बोल रहा हूँ कि आपकी जो तकलीफ है ना, वो यहाँ से आ रही है. Right? बाकी देखो अल्लाह हम सबको माफ करेंगे इंशाल्लाह. क्योंकि हम उनसे अपनी औकात देख के तो मांगते नहीं है, bro.
Yeah.
That'd be stupid. That'd be a stupid thing to do. कि मैं how can I deserve this? I told you that story about my eye, na?
No, but repeat it.
Okay,
you may have, I forgot.
I almost lost an eye, na?
Okay, I didn't know. You definitely did not tell me this.
when I was let's end the podcast with this story then, huh?
All right.
Because you have to go get your PCR.
PCR done, bro.
Let's go.
Let's go Qatar Airways.
Yeah, inshallah. Sponsor kar do. just right before I tell the story. Anyways, I must have been in the 7th grade, 8th grade. I've always had glasses. So yeah, I must have been in the 7th grade, 8th grade. I had glasses on. आपको याद होगा if you have ever attended school here, we used to have assemblies, and assemblies में used to be पहले कुरान की कोई आयत, tilawat, and then national anthem, announcements, and then you go to class.
Yeah.
Right, we were done, assembly was done, we were going to class. The person in front of me, अगर आपको याद हो मुझे नहीं पता हो, had a trolley bag.
Okay.
You remember those? With the wheels in the front. Wheels in the bottom, and then the stands in the back.
Yeah.
They were like
suitcase
pegs.
Type of thing,
yeah, they were like pegs, right? I was bending down to get my bag, and the person in front of me piked their bag to get it onto their shoulder. Piked, my glasses were lowered, caught me in my right eye. Fractured it. Broke my eye. Right?
What?
Yeah. Into like there was a fracture. The whole thing was just, so bad. And immediately there was immense pain. And
was there bleeding and everything?
No bleeding.
No bleeding.
Yeah. आँख ऐसे नहीं खून निकलता, आँख लाल हो गई थी, मतलब अंदर बिकॉज फ्रैक्चर अंदर था ना तो फट गई थी. नहीं आँख फट गई थी. मैं आई एम नॉट यूजिंग स्लैंग नहीं. हाँ
दोनों भी हो सकता है.
हाँ
दोनों एक साथ हो
दोनों जी बिल्कुल. तो जो है वो तो spiked it, caught me straight in the eye, and immediately there was a shooting sharp pain. And you know, as with most things, if you're a man in this or a woman in this muashra, I tried to avoid it, try to shake it off. I was like, kuch nahi hai, let's just go to class, right? I go to class, and I put my head down immediately, eye throbbing, head hurting. You know, my Adam's apple is heavy. Just gravity intensifies because I just want to cry, you know. But crying hurts, and I'm crying, but it hurts physically, right? The eye. I put my head down. As with most teachers at that level in this country, she didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
She's like, "You're full of shit." I'm like, "Okay, cool," but I want to keep my head down. She's like, "Look at me." As soon as I look at her, she saw something, man, because it was visible. Na? I never saw what was wrong with my eye. To this day, I don't know. But she looks at me and she's like, "Yeah, you should go home." And I'm like, "What?" This teacher hated my guts.
Yeah.
You know.
वो घर भिजवा रही है.
घर भिजवा रही, what the fuck? Behral, so I go home. I was, you know, again, you're not taught to show weakness like this. So I didn't want to tell my mom and my dad what was up. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go sleep. And my mom is busy, so she couldn't attend to it. And so whatever. She's like, "Haan, beta jaake so jao," right? And then for the next 2 days, I remember I would just make excuses. I wouldn't go to school.
Yeah.
Right. And I would, so we used to have drapes, right? Drapes जो होते हैं ना वो मोटा कपड़ा होता है कि कपड़ा होता है. It would hurt so much is I would wedge that drape in the middle of my mouth and I would scream into it because that's how much it would hurt.
Oh my God, Kazi.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, but the thing is because every time I'd close my eye, ऐसा लगता था छोटी-छोटी पत्थरियाँ हैं.
हाँ, चुभ रही हैं.
हाँ, चुभ रही हैं. Fragmented pieces of something broken. Later on, I would find out that there are pieces of me in my eye, right? But उस पर ऐसा लगता था कोई पत्थर चले गए हैं बहुत सारे. So बहरहाल third day or something, second day or third day, my mom found me passed out near those drapes, right? Took me to the doctor, find out that I had a fractured eye. Doctor did surgery, and then I was a pirate because they had full bandage. I patched up my eye. I was a pirate for, I think, a couple of months. I was on such heavy painkillers that I don't remember उस ज़माने में उस सारे वक्त के दौरान I don't remember अभी तक even sitting up. I just have glimpses. I'd wake up and I'd see my dad sleeping on the mattress next to me because he was upset that I was hurt. There were other times that I would wake up to just glimpses of people coming to visit me, but just on such heavy painkillers. And then a couple of months later, I was back at school with both my eyes. किस चीज़ का कितना शुक्र कर लूँ?
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to that. ना कितना शुक्र कर लूँ? अल्लाह रहम करे. You know, man, nothing's promised, man.
Nothing's promised.
Nothing's promised.
So these relationships that we hold dear and are fickle.
Yeah, right? Fickle to pata nahi. It's just
the only unconditional love that you can get is from Allah and then phir your mother. Maa ki zaat se milti hai. Because 1/70th of his love is in your mother, right? That's 1/70th,
right? And that also is now divided.
Yeah. And
right? Yeah.
That's probably the only relationship.
Also, the thing is, you must understand that love is also tethered to a human being, and so you shouldn't abuse it.
No, definitely
you know,
not.
वहाँ पे भी एक मसला आ जाता है because we take that for granted.
Yeah.
वो इंसान है, right? And उनने बहुत तकलीफें झेली हैं आपको यहाँ तक पहुँचाने के लिए. And so don't, you know, don't feel you have a right to it, because वो वाली बात है. A few days ago, I just said something to my dad, and I was like, oh, "Thank you." He's like, "अबे बाप करते हैं."
Yeah.
You know, full colloquialism. Me and my dad, we're cool. Alhamdulillah. He's like बाप करते हैं, and I look at him straight dead in the eye, and I'm like, नहीं, बाप नहीं करते हैं.
बाप
नहीं करते हैं, bro. You know, and so there's all sorts of broken parents, and so I don't know, man. Just gratitude.
Gratitude.
Just
man.
gratitude. Gratitude.
I feel immense gratitude for you having me here.
Oh, dude,
100%, man. Like,
it was a
is-
pleasure. It was a pleasure.
This has
Alhamdulillah.
been I've always wanted to sit here ever since I saw all your podcasts.
Ever since I saw
All of them.
all of them.
Big fan. I was like, if I ever come here, I will know that I have made it.
Yeah, bro,
Thank you
you're
very
fine,
much.
dude. We'll all be fine, inshallah. Like you say,
Inshallah.
you're the first person I told you
Yeah.
with the new wall and
the dark wall.
and the new recording equipment stuff.
Yeah.
things,
So
inshallah.
if the recording equipment is like very, very precise, then
Allah
you know
Rabbi.
why.
Yeah.
The dollars.
Yeah, Allah Rabbi. Must fine. What's it called? But Nazar, apni in social media.
Yeah. So at Nazar Syed everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I have a podcast called Vaguely Familiar, and it's with my brother Bashar, and we talk about cricket, movies, music, shows, day-to-day items, news, whatever, right? Everything and anything. And yeah, subscribe to us there. Check us out on all the social
Books
media.
ke naams.
I have 2 poetry collections out. The first one is called A Rush to the Stars. You can find it on Amazon. The second one is called A Dream is All I Need to Get By. Also, you can find it on Amazon. We're working on a local publisher as well, so you'll probably hear that in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Can't say anything yet, but
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Allah khair karega, inshallah.
Allah
Thank you,
khair
buddy.
karega. Thank you for having me.
I'll come back, dude. Come back whenever.
100%.
Inshallah. Allah ke hukum se.
If you have me, I'll be here.
Of course.
All right.
Nazar, Kazi Akbar. Nazar na lag jaye. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.